Good morning, my dear friend. The first light of dawn is breaking, and with it comes a gentle hush that settles over the world. The night has passed, and the morning carries with it a sense of renewal, as if the earth itself takes a quiet breath of relief. Birds begin their chorus, the sky shifts from shadow to gold, and you and I stand together at this sacred threshold of a new day. Morning has always been a holy time. It is the hour when our hearts are most tender, when yesterday's burdens still linger, yet today's hope begins to rise. In this soft light, the soul finds room to breathe again. Imagine for a moment a person sitting by their window as the sun begins to rise. Their eyes are tired from a night spent wrestling with worry. Perhaps they have just lost a loved one and cannot imagine how life can go on. Or maybe they are weighed down by uncertainty, bills piling on the table, a broken relationship that will not heal, or a diagnosis that feels heavier than the body can bear. In the stillness of morning, tears slip silently down their face. They whisper into the quiet, "Is there hope for me today?" Their pain feels invisible, yet it is real. Their questions echo in the silence, and they wonder if God has heard them at all. You may know that feeling. You may have lived through such a morning yourself. Life has a way of pressing in, of leaving us weary before the day has even begun. The weight of grief, the fear of the unknown, the disappointment of delayed answers, these can make our hearts tremble. And yet, in this fragile moment, something powerful is waiting to unfold. For it is in the breaking of dawn that the invitation of God shines brightest. The morning is not only a turning of the clock, but a turning of the spirit. What feels like an ending can be the very beginning of renewal. This is the space where prayer becomes more than words. Prayer becomes breath, life, and strength. It is not simply a ritual, not a checklist to complete before the day starts. Prayer is a conversation with the one who knows your heart better than you do. It is the cry of the soul that refuses to stay buried under despair. When the world feels dark, prayer is the light that pierces through. When the heart feels weak, prayer is the hand that lifts it up. And when the mind cannot find answers, prayer is the place where peace settles deeper than understanding. The story of the one who sits at the window in tears is not just their story, it is the story of countless hearts across the world this very morning. Some are grieving, some are searching, some are simply exhausted from trying to hold everything together. But there is good news. The same God who painted the sunrise across the sky is also the one who bends low to listen. He has promised never to abandon, never to forget, never to overlook even the faintest whisper of his children. In the hidden corners of pain, his presence waits. In the silence of dawn, his comfort draws near. This is why we gather our hearts at the start of the day. Not because we have all the answers, not because we feel strong, but because we know where strength is found. Prayer is not about bringing perfect words, it is about bringing a willing heart. It is about stepping into the morning with open hands, willing to release fear, anger, or sorrow, and ready to receive peace, courage, and hope. And as we open ourselves, we discover that prayer has the power to reshape the way we see everything. The sunrise becomes not just a natural event, but a divine reminder that darkness does not last forever. The journey we are about to begin together is not a short one. Over the course of these prayers, we will walk step by step through valleys of weakness, across deserts of waiting, into streams of healing, and up mountains of victory. Each chapter will invite you deeper, not only into words, but into an encounter. This is not just a prayer you listen to. This is a path you walk. Along the way, you will be reminded of who God is, of what He has promised, and of the hope that no darkness can extinguish. You may enter this moment feeling heavy, but you will not leave the same. For prayer changes things. More than that, prayer changes us. When we pour out our hearts, when we choose trust over fear, when we allow faith to rise even in trembling, we find that the God who rules over heaven also meets us here on earth. He is present in your living room, in your kitchen, in your car, wherever you are listening this morning. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. So, my dear friend, I invite you now to breathe deeply and prepare your heart. Lay aside distraction. Set down the burden you have carried all night. The day ahead may be filled with unknowns, but this moment is holy. This is the moment where we choose to begin with God. Together, let us step into a journey of prayer that will carry us not just through this morning, but through every trial, every joy, and every battle yet to come. The chapters ahead will unfold like the rising of the sun, slowly, steadily, until light fills every corner. We will start in the place of weakness, but we will not remain there. We will move toward hope, strength, and peace that the world cannot give and cannot take away. And when we finish, you will stand renewed, clothed in faith, anchored in love, and ready to walk the day with courage. Let us now open our hearts, for the journey of prayer is about to begin. Dear Heavenly Father, as the morning light slowly rises, I come before you with a heart that feels frail and weary. The quiet of this hour mirrors the quiet within me, a silence that is heavy not with peace, but with burdens too great to carry alone. I do not come pretending to be strong. I do not come with polished words or a steady spirit. I come as I am, fragile, uncertain, and in need of your touch. I confess that there are moments when fear whispers louder than faith, when doubts cloud the horizon of my soul. The weight of yesterday presses down on me, and the shadows of worry stretch into this new day. I long to step forward with courage, but my feet feel anchored to the ground of weakness. I long to lift my head with hope, but my heart bends low beneath the strain. Dear Father, this morning I bring you my brokenness without disguise. For you are the one who knows me completely. You remind me through your word that I am clay in the hands of the potter, shaped and formed according to your design. I feel the cracks in my vessel, the places where life has chipped away at me, and yet I believe that even these cracks can shine with your light. I believe that what seems ruined in my eyes can still be made beautiful in yours. In the stillness of this dawn, I place my life on the potter's wheel once again, asking you to mold me, to soften what has grown hard, to strengthen what is weak, to create something new from what feels broken. Father, I cannot deny the pain that lingers. There are losses that have left scars, disappointments that whisper failure, fears that steal my sleep. Sometimes it feels as though the night will never end. Yet here I sit in the birth of morning, and I choose to believe that the night has limits and the light has no end. I choose to believe that every sunrise is a reminder of your faithfulness, that even after the longest darkness, you still call forth the dawn. In this hour, I lift to you the hidden corners of my heart, the places I have kept locked away. I lift the grief I cannot name, the fears I cannot voice, the questions that have no easy answers. I ask you to hold them all, for I cannot hold them anymore. Let this morning be a beginning, not because my circumstances have changed, but because I have chosen to place them into your hands. When I look at myself, I see weakness. When I look at you, I see strength. When I look at my past, I see failure. When I look at you, I see mercy. When I look at the future, I see uncertainty. When I look at you, I see hope. Teach me, O Lord, to turn my gaze toward you again and again, until the weight of this world is lifted by the certainty of your love. I surrender the illusion of control that I cling to so tightly. I cannot carry tomorrow in my own strength. I cannot heal every wound or fix every broken piece of my life. But you can. You have always been the God who turns ashes into beauty, mourning into dancing, despair into joy. Even now, in this fragile state, I open my heart to the possibility that you are already at work. I may not see the shape of the blessing. I may not understand the pattern of your hand, but I trust that the potter never abandons the clay. This morning, Lord, I ask for courage simply to breathe in your presence. Let each breath remind me that I am still here, that you still have purpose for me, that no failure or fear can erase your plan. Let the rising sun remind me that you are the God of new beginnings, the one who makes all things new. Where I see only endings, help me to see the first light of hope. Where I feel empty, pour in your strength. Where I feel weary, lift me with your spirit. I know I am not alone in this prayer. Across the world, there are countless hearts beginning this day with tears, with sighs too deep for words, with questions they cannot answer. Join my voice with theirs, Lord, and let our cries rise to you like incense at dawn. See us in our weakness and hold us with your everlasting arms. Though we may stumble, though we may fall, though we may tremble with fear, let us know that we are not abandoned. Dear Father, I choose this morning not to hide my frailty, but to place it in your hands. I choose to believe that weakness is not the end of the story, but the place where your power is revealed. Shape me, mold me, breathe into me again. Even if my voice trembles, let it speak of trust. Even if my hands shake, let them be lifted in surrender. Even if my heart feels small, let it beat with hope. As the day unfolds, let me walk not in the shadow of fear, but in the light of your presence. When doubts rise, quiet them with your word. When fears press close, surround me with your peace. When sorrow threatens to drown me, lift me to the surface with your love. I am clay, fragile and unfinished, but I am clay in the hands of the Master. And in that truth, I find the courage to begin this day. Father, as the light of morning continues to spread, I carry forward the fragile honesty I placed before you. The whisper of my heart in weakness now rises into a cry. For silence cannot hold the weight of my longing any longer. I do not want to hide in quiet despair. I want to bring my need to you openly, as a child calls to a parent in the night. My weakness has already been laid before you, but now I must speak it with urgency, because my soul thirsts and cannot be satisfied by anything this world offers. I feel the emptiness deep within me. Father, like a desert longing for rain, like dry ground cracking under the heat of a relentless sun, there are places in me that no human comfort can reach. No encouragement from others, no distraction of routine, no possession or achievement can quiet the ache I carry. Only you can fill this void. Only you can bring the living water that quenches the thirst of my soul. As the psalmist declared, as the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul longs for you. And in this moment, that longing becomes a desperate cry. I admit that there are times when I have tried to quench this thirst in other ways. I have run toward distractions, hoping they would satisfy. I have leaned on my own strength, only to find it failing. I have looked to people to carry what they could not hold. None of it has worked. Father, none of it has brought the peace I crave. That is why this morning I lift my voice louder, clearer, refusing to settle for substitutes. I confess my dependence on you alone. Without you, I am empty. Without you, I am lost. Without you, I cannot endure. The cry rising from within me is not only one of need, but also of surrender. I am not asking for small comforts or temporary relief. I am asking for you yourself. I am asking for the presence that calms storms, for the hand that lifts the fallen, for the voice that speaks life where there has only been silence. My soul does not hunger for things. It hungers for you. My heart does not chase after answers alone. It chases after the one who is the answer. Father, I think of how children instinctively reach for the arms of their parents when fear overtakes them. They do not explain their fear in perfect sentences. They do not calculate whether help will come. They simply cry. And the cry is enough to move the heart of the one who loves them. This morning, I cry like that child. I do not bring eloquence. I bring desperation. I do not bring solutions. I bring my need. I do not bring strength. I bring my weakness in full, depending on you to meet me here. In this cry there is no shame, for you have never turned away from those who call on you. Scripture reminds me that when the righteous cry out, the Lord hears them and delivers them from all their troubles. I cling to that truth. My voice may tremble, but I believe it reaches your throne. My words may be imperfect, but I believe they are carried by your Spirit. My need may feel overwhelming, but I believe it is not too great for your mercy. So, Father, hear me now as I lay open my fears. I fear the future, with all its unknowns and uncontrollable turns. I fear failure, the weight of not being enough for the tasks and relationships before me. I fear loneliness, the ache of feeling unseen and unheard. I fear loss, the reality that nothing on this earth lasts forever. I bring these fears to you not because I know how to solve them, but because I cannot carry them alone. I depend on you to meet me in every single one. In this place of dependence, I ask you to teach me what it means to truly trust. Teach me that faith is not found in the absence of fear, but in the choice to place fear in your hands. Teach me that peace is not the silence of problems, but the nearness of your presence in the midst of them. Teach me that hope is not fragile wishful thinking, but the steady assurance that you are who you say you are. The cry of my heart this morning is both raw and unfiltered. It does not ask for perfection, but for presence. It does not demand quick solutions, but asks for steady companionship. I know that life will not suddenly lose its struggles, but I also know that no struggle is too great when you walk with me. So, Father, I depend on you for the courage to take the next step, for the strength to breathe through the weight of this hour, for the faith to trust that you are at work, even when I cannot see it. Let my cry not be hidden in the noise of this world. Let it rise like incense. Let it reach beyond the clouds. Let it echo in the courts of heaven. And while I wait for your response, let me feel the assurance that you have already heard, that you have already drawn near, that you are already moving in ways beyond my sight. Father, I am thirsty for you, more than solutions, more than blessings, more than relief. I want you. Fill me with your presence until the cry of dependence becomes the song of assurance. Hold me close until the trembling ceases and faith begins to steady my steps. Meet me in this morning hour, for without you, I cannot stand, but with you, I will not fall. Father, now that my cry has risen to you, now that I have spoken from the deepest place of longing and dependence, I feel something begin to shift in me, not a solution, not an answer, but a memory, a quiet recollection rising like smoke from a once extinguished fire. As I sit in the hush of this morning, a voice within begins to whisper what I had almost forgotten. You have been faithful before. It is easy to lose sight of that in the present moment, when the ache is fresh and the uncertainty overwhelming. Memory dims, but I ask you now to bring it back. Help me remember not just in thought but in feeling. Remind me of where you met me before, of how you came through when I had nothing left, of how you lifted me when I could not stand. Let the weight of your past faithfulness press gently against my doubts until they begin to break apart. I remember the day when I felt just as lost as I do now. Maybe more. The details are different, but the H was the same. The silence, the fear, the questions, and yet you did not leave me there. You showed up in ways I could not have predicted. Maybe it was through a person's words at just the right time. Maybe it was a moment of peace that passed all understanding. Maybe it was a door I did not know I needed opening when everything else was closed. I see it now not as coincidence, but as kindness. You were there. You have always been there. Through every winter season, through every wilderness stretch, through every heartbreak and shattered hope. And if you were faithful then, you will be faithful now. You do not change like shifting shadows. You are not near one day and far the next. What you have begun in me you will carry to completion. Father, I know the enemy wants me to forget. He wants me to believe that I am abandoned, that my prayers vanish into thin air, that you are no longer near. But I choose to remember. I choose to recall every evidence of your presence that has carried me to this very moment. I would not be here if not for your mercy. I would not still be breathing hope if not for your grace. Even in the moments when I doubted you most, you were still working. Even when I walked away in frustration, you waited with patience. Even when I questioned your goodness, you answered with compassion. And now, as the sun climbs higher in the sky, I return to those moments like a traveler returning home. I let memory become the foundation under my trembling feet. There was a time I thought I would never recover. I remember that clearly. The pain had broken something in me that I thought could never be healed. But slowly, day by day, you rebuilt what I thought was lost forever. I did not even notice it happening at first, but now I look back and see it. You never left me in the ruins. You walked with me through the dust until life returned. I think of the psalmist who declared, "I will remember the deeds of the Lord." Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will meditate on all your works and consider all your mighty deeds. That is what I choose this morning. I choose to remember and not to forget, to hold tight to every rescue, every answered prayer, every quiet miracle you worked in the shadows of my story. Father, memory is not just comfort, it is strength. It gives me the courage to trust again, to believe that if you were with me then, you are with me now, that if you parted waters before, you can do it again, that if you made a way through the wilderness, you can clear the path ahead. I may not see it yet, but I know the same hands that held me yesterday are holding me still. Let remembrance be the song I carry into this day. Let it guard my mind when fear creeps in. Let it quiet the voice that tells me I am alone. Let it be the light that flickers even when hope feels dim. You are not just the God of the past. You are the God of my present and the promise of my future. You have been faithful, and you will be faithful again. So I sit with this now. Father, I let it settle in my bones. Not a vague hope, but a real one rooted in what I have lived and seen and known. I trace the outline of my story and find your fingerprints all over it. You have healed. You have provided. You have protected. You have spoken. You have lifted me up from places too deep to climb out of on my own. I do not want to move past this moment too quickly. I want to stay in this remembering just a little longer. Let it sink in until the ache gives way to assurance, until the tears that come are no longer only from sorrow, but from the overwhelming realization that I have never walked alone. Even now, in this hour of waiting, you are as present as you have ever been. And so, Father, as I prepare to face what today may hold, I carry the memory of your goodness like armor around my heart. I walk forward not in my own strength, but in the strength that comes from knowing you have never failed me, and you will not start now. Father, as I sit here continuing to remember the times you carried me, a quiet stillness begins to take shape around me. Not the stillness of certainty, but the kind that comes in the long pause between the promise and its fulfillment. I find myself in a waiting place again. Not waiting with anxiety as before, but waiting with a soul that is trying to trust that the shadows still linger, and the answer has not yet come. There is something sacred about this waiting space, though I confess it does not feel holy. It feels quiet, long, and uncertain. It is the place between prayers spoken and prayers answered. The place where time moves slowly and silence seems to stretch on. I want to say that remembering your faithfulness has made the waiting easier, and in some ways, it has. But even with those memories, the ache of delay remains. And this morning, Father, I bring you that ache with honesty. I am learning that waiting is not passive. It is not standing still with folded hands or with a numb heart. It is attention, a stretch, a quiet fight against the urge to give up. I know that you are working, even when I cannot see it, but my heart still wrestles with the silence. I find myself scanning the horizon of this day, looking for signs, for movements, for anything that might tell me you are near. And yet, there is only shadow, only stillness, only the echo of my own breath. But I do not want to run from this place. I do not want to numb this waiting or rush it away. I want to learn what it has come to teach me. So, Father, help me not to waste this shadowed season. Teach me how to sit in it not with despair, but with expectation. Let the waiting deepen my roots rather than dry them out. Let it prepare my spirit for what you are forming behind the scenes. You remind me in your word that the vision is for an appointed time, that even if it seems to tarry, it will come. It will not delay beyond what you have ordained. And I hold on to that now, not with a clenched fist, but with open hands. I do not know when or how, but I trust you are not idle. You are not slow in the way I understand slowness. You are intentional. You are precise. You are unfolding things with a wisdom I cannot yet comprehend. In the waiting, I ask you to help me surrender my obsession with timelines. My human mind wants to measure progress, to track movement, to demand visible change. But faith does not follow a clock. Faith is not fed by updates. It is fed by trust. So I bring you the part of me that keeps checking the time, and I ask you to quiet it. Teach me to wait like a seed beneath the soil, still hidden, still silent, yet not inactive. Let things grow in me now that can only grow in the dark. Father, I confess there is a loneliness in the waiting. It feels as though the world is moving while I remain still. I see others receive what I am still praying for. I see doors opening elsewhere while mine remain shut. I know you have not forgotten me, but sometimes my heart feels overlooked. I bring you that feeling now, not in accusation, but in longing. I want to feel seen even here. I want to know that I am not waiting alone in this hallway between what was and what will be. So I ask you to be my comfort in this space. Be my light in these shadows. Let your presence wrap around me like a blanket did not know I needed. I may not have the answer yet, but I can have you. I may not have resolution, but I can have peace. May not see the path forward, but I can hold on to your hand. Let that be enough for today. Help me remember the stories of those who waited before me. Abraham, who waited for the child of promise. Joseph, who waited in prison. Hannah, who waited through silence and sorrow. David, who waited through exile and pursuit. They were not forgotten, even when the days were long. They were not dismissed, even when hope dimmed. You were shaping something eternal in them, and I believe you are doing the same in me. Let this waiting be more than delay. Let it be formation. Let it be preparation. Let it be the deep work of shaping me into someone who will recognize the blessing when it comes, not as a reward for effort, but as a gift from your hand. I do not want to step into the next season half-ready, still clinging to fear or pride or restlessness. So if this waiting is the way you cleanse my heart of those things, let it be so. Give me patience that is not bitter but brave. Give me endurance that is not empty but expectant. Give me peace that does not depend on answers but on presence. I know that when you move, it will be right. I know that when the time comes, it will be perfect. But until then, teach me how to stay, how to be still without giving up, how to worship in the quiet, how to hold on to hope like a lamp in the night. Father, I want to see this waiting not as punishment, but as proof that you are building something in me worth waiting for. Let that perspective change the way I carry this day. Let it soften my heart instead of hardening it. Let it draw me closer to you, not push me away. Let the shadows remind me that even when I do not see the sun, it is still rising. I wait not for answers, but for you. I wait not because I am strong, but because I know you are. I wait not because I enjoy the silence, but because I believe it holds something sacred. I wait because I have seen your faithfulness before, and I choose to believe I will see it again. Even here, even now, in the shadows. Father, I remain here in the quiet, where waiting has taught me how to breathe slower, how to notice what I once buried beneath business. And now, as the stillness deepens, something else rises, not longing, not fear, but truth. The kind of truth that whispers from the corners of the soul. The kind that has waited patiently for a moment like this. I can sense it, nudging me gently yet firmly to open the places I have kept closed. And so, Father, I come now not only to wait but to confess. I bring you the parts of me that I usually hide, the thoughts I wish I had never had, the words I wish I could take back, the choices I made in weakness, in fear, in pride. I bring you the moments when I turned away from you, not with my feet perhaps, but with my heart, the times I chose control over surrender, the times I stayed silent when I should have spoken truth, the times I spoke sharply when love was needed, the times I sought my own comfort instead of your will. I do not say these things with bitterness. I say them with sorrow and hope. Sorrow because I know my heart still stumbles. Hope because I know you are not afraid of my honesty. You do not flinch when I bring you my sin. You do not withdraw when I show you my flaws. Instead, you lean in. You receive what I offer not to condemn, but to heal. This is the great mystery of your mercy. You meet me in the mess. You welcome me in the middle of my regret. You offer grace in the places I expect judgment. So I will not hold back. Father, forgive me for the impatience that spills out in small moments and affects those I love, for the pride that masks itself as competence, for the resentment I have allowed to grow in silence, for the jealousy I have fed instead of starved, for the times I valued being right more than being kind, for the worry I have clung to when I should have trusted you, for the bitterness I have disguised as boundaries, for the ways I have withheld love out of fear of being hurt again. These confessions are not just words. They are weights I have been carrying, some for days, some for years, and I am tired. Father, so very tired of pretending they do not affect me. I want to release them now. I want to place them at your feet and walk away lighter. Not because I deserve it, not because I have fixed myself, because you have made a way for broken people like me to come home without fear. You said that if we confess our sins, you are faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Not some, not most, all. So I place my trust in that promise now. I do not need to earn your forgiveness. I only need to ask for it and to believe that when you say, I am clean, I am. That when you say it is finished, it truly is. That when you remove my sin, you do not hold it in reserve. You cast it as far as the east is from the west, and you choose to remember it no more. Help me to do the same. Help me to release what you have already forgiven. Help me not to carry shame like a banner. Help me not to revisit guilt that you have already buried. I know that guilt can sometimes feel like a form of penance, like something I need to keep in order to stay humble. But humility is not found in self-condemnation. It is found in honesty and surrender, so I surrender. Father, I let go, and as I do, I ask you to heal the places my sin has wounded, not just in me, but in others. I ask for restoration in relationships I have harmed. I ask for peace in places where my words stirred chaos. I ask for renewed trust where I have broken it. But I also accept that some consequences may still remain. Forgiveness does not erase every effect. Yet even in those places, I ask you to bring good out of what I meant for harm. Let your mercy reach beyond what I can repair. Father, teach me how to live as one who is forgiven. Let that truth transform how I speak, how I act, how I see others. Let it remove the edge of defensiveness, the walls of pride, the fear of being truly known. Let it make me softer, more compassionate, more honest not only with you, but with the people around me. Forgiveness is not a secret to keep. It is a freedom to live out. I also bring to you the hurts I have not confessed because they come from wounds, not rebellion. The things I have done out of brokenness, the ways I have protected myself because I did not feel safe, the times I acted out of fear, not malice. You know the difference, Father, and yet you offer healing for both. You see the layers of every sin, the story behind every failure. You are not just the God of correction. You are the God of understanding. And that kindness brings me to my knees. I do not deserve your grace, but I do receive it, not because I feel worthy, but because I know you are trustworthy. not because I understand it, but because I know I need it. Let your grace be like rain this morning, washing over every weary part of me. Let it seep into the cracks of shame and lift the weight I have carried for too long. Let it be the first light breaking into the corners I have kept hidden. You do not call me to hide. You call me to step into the light. And here in the safety of your love, I let go of the lies that say I am too far gone, too flawed, too late to change. I let go of the fear that tells me must keep earning what you have already given. I let go of the hardness I have built to protect myself. I give you everything, Father, not just the good I try to present, but the truth of who I am beneath it all. And as I release these things into your hands, I feel space opening up in my soul, room for joy to return, room for peace to take root, room for love to grow deeper. I do not need to carry what you have already carried for me. I do not need to wear chains that you have already broken. I walk out of this moment freer than I came in. Not because of anything I have done, but because of who you are. Father, now that I have laid down the weight of guilt and released what I once held in secret, I feel a different kind of ache rise in its place, not one of shame, but of surrender. It is the H of being changed. The H of knowing that confession was not the end of the journey, but only the beginning. And now I find myself at the edge of something deeper, something harder. I know that what comes next is not escape, but transformation. And I know transformation requires fire. You are not a God who leaves me as you found me. You love me too much to let me stay unchanged. And so, Father, I bring myself to the place where your refining work begins. I do not come casually, because I know that refinement is never painless. It is not a gentle breeze that polishes the surface. It is fire, a holy fire that burns through what is impure, a consuming fire that does not destroy, but purifies. I have asked for you to heal what is broken. I have asked for you to restore what was lost, but now I ask something even harder: make me holy. Strip away what no longer belongs in me. Remove what slows me down or holds me back. I want to be more than cleansed. I want to be changed. I want to reflect you not just in moments of worship, but in every thought, every word, every response, every desire. I know this will cost something. I know that refinement is not a surface work. It goes deep, exposing the layers I pretend do not exist. It presses against my comfort. It challenges my assumptions. It reveals what is hidden and asks if I am willing to let it go. So I do not ask for refinement lightly. I ask because I trust you. I ask because I believe that the fire you send is not meant to consume me, but to restore me to the image of your Son. There are things in me that are not yet surrendered: attitudes I excuse, habits I defend, wounds I nurse. I feel you gently pointing toward them now, not in anger, but in love. And I feel the heat begin to rise, not as punishment, but as invitation. You are inviting me into a deeper place, a place where obedience becomes joy, where purity becomes freedom, where character is shaped in secret so that fruit may grow in public. Father, if the fire is what it takes to make me whole, then let it come, not because I crave pain, but because I long for what only pain can produce. Let the flames burn away the pride that resists correction. Let them expose the fears that keep me guarded. Let them melt the hardness that forms when disappointment is left unspoken. Let them refine the way I love, the way I serve, the way I live when no one is watching. I think of the refiner who sits close to the flame, eyes fixed on the metal, never walking away, never letting the fire go too far. You are that refiner. Father, you do not leave me alone in the heat. You remain near, adjusting the temperature with perfect wisdom, knowing just how long I can bear it and just what needs to be removed. You are not cruel. You are careful. You are not distant. You are deliberate. I am not being burned. I am being made new. Let me learn to welcome the process, even when I do not understand it. Let me see my trials not as punishment, but as preparation. Let me see the struggle not as failure, but as formation. You are using every pressure point to build something eternal in me. Every hardship is an opportunity to grow in patience, in humility, in faith. I may not choose the fire, but I choose what the fire produces. I choose what lasts. So when I feel the discomfort rise, when relationships stretch me, when silence tests me, when waiting wears me thin, remind me that this is not wasted. Remind me that you are refining something within me that could not be shaped in ease. You are teaching me to stand when the winds howl. You are teaching me to love when it costs something. You are teaching me to trust when there are no visible signs. And in the middle of it all, let me find comfort in this truth. Refinement is not rejection. It is proof of belonging. You discipline those you love. You purify those you call. You refine those you intend to use. So if I feel the fire, I will remember that it is because I am yours. You are preparing me not only to endure, but to carry something holy. You are making room for anointing. You are building the kind of strength that cannot be shaken. I ask you now to help me stay in the process. When I want to run, hold me steady. When I want to hide, draw me close. When I want to give up, whisper to me that this is the way through. This is the path to deeper intimacy, to greater wisdom, to clearer vision. This is how I become the person you already see in me. This is how the old is burned away so that the new can rise in its place. I may not feel strong today, but I offer you my willingness. Refine me in the quiet places. Burn away every lie I still believe. Burn away comparison. Burn away insecurity. Burn away every part of me that resists becoming like Jesus. Let me emerge from this season with a heart that beats softer, a voice that speaks gentler, a spirit that trusts deeper. Let the gold of character shine through the ashes. Father, I know there will be days when I forget this moment, days when I will ask you to remove the very fire I invited. But today, I say yes. Yes to what you are doing. Yes to the way you are doing it. Yes to the slow, sacred work of transformation. And even if the road ahead is marked by heat and trial, I will keep walking, because I know who walks with me, and I know what lies on the other side of the flame. Father, after walking through the fire of refinement, I find myself listening more closely than before. The noise of pride and distraction has quieted, and in the space left behind, I realize how deeply I long to hear you. The fire stripped away what clouded my heart, but now I need the sound of your voice to guide me forward. Without it, I am like a traveler at night with no light to see the path. I know you are not silent, but sometimes my ears are too full of other sounds to notice. So this morning I come, asking to hear you clearly, the way sheep recognize the voice of their shepherd. There are so many voices competing for my attention. The voice of fear that insists I must protect myself at all costs. The voice of doubt that questions whether I will ever find my way. The voice of shame that whispers that I am not enough. The voice of pride that urges me to rely only on myself. They are loud, persistent, and familiar. Yet none of them bring peace. None of them lead me to life. But then there is your voice, steady, gentle, unmistakable. A voice that does not shout over the chaos, but calls me by name in a way that stills the storm inside. Father, I know what it is to follow the wrong voice. I know what it feels like to chase after what promised satisfaction, but left me empty. I know how it feels to be led into dead ends by my own understanding. That is why I need you now more than ever. I cannot afford to keep listening to the noise. I cannot afford to keep wandering down paths that drain my soul. I need the clarity that comes only from the one who sees the beginning and the end at once. I need the comfort of knowing that when you speak, I can trust every word. Teach me again how to recognize the difference between your voice and the others. Let the tone of love set you apart. Let the truth of Scripture sharpen my discernment. Let the peace that follows confirm your presence. Even when your words challenge me, let me know it is you, because they always lead me to freedom, never to chains. Even when your direction confuses me, let me know it is you, because it always pulls me closer, never farther. I think of how a shepherd walks ahead of the sheep, calling them to follow. He does not drive them with fear or force them with harshness. He leads with familiarity, with care, with trust built over time. And the sheep follow not because they see everything clearly, but because they know the one calling them. Father, let that be true of me, even when the path looks uncertain, even when the way ahead is hidden. Let me follow because I know the sound of your voice. You remind me that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from your mouth. That means I cannot live fully without hearing you. Your voice sustains me more than food, more than success, more than approval. Without it, I wander. With it, I flourish. So open my ears to every whisper of your Spirit. Let me hear you in Scripture, in silence, in the counsel of the wise, in the beauty of creation, and even in the still small voice that stirs in the depths of my soul. Father, I confess that sometimes I hesitate when I hear you. I question whether it is truly you or just my own thoughts. I delay, waiting for certainty before stepping forward, but I know that obedience often clarifies what doubt cannot. So give me courage to respond, not with endless hesitation, but with trust. Even if the step feels small, let me take it, even if the way is unclear. let me move in the direction you point. And if I stumble, let me fall into your mercy, not into fear. Let your voice lead me away from danger I cannot see. Let it keep me from doors that are not meant to open. Let it redirect me when I wander too close to the edge. Let it steady me when everything else shakes. Let it remind me of who I am when the world tries to rename me. Let it remind me that I am yours, loved, chosen, held. Father, I also ask for patience, because sometimes your voice tells me to wait. Sometimes it says stop when I want to run. Sometimes it says be still when I want to act. Teach me to trust those words as much I trust the ones that say go. Teach me that your no is as merciful as your yes, that your silence is not absence, but sometimes the loudest call to rest. I remember that you are not only the shepherd, but also the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. That means your voice is never careless. It is never indifferent. Every word is marked by love deep enough to sacrifice everything. So when I hear you call, I want to respond not out of fear, but out of gratitude. I want to follow because I trust that the path you set before me, even if it winds through valleys, always leads to life. Let me grow familiar with your voice, Father, not just in the extraordinary moments, but in the ordinary rhythms of each day. When I rise, let me hear you. When I work, let me hear you. When I rest, let me hear you. Let recognition become second nature, so that when the noise grows loud, I can still find your sound like a melody I know by heart. And as I learn to hear you more clearly, let others hear you through me. Let my words carry echoes of your kindness. Let my life reflect the guidance I have received. Let my actions point not to my wisdom, but to yours. In this way, your voice does not only shape me, but also reaches through me to call others closer to you. So here I am this morning, Father, still and listening. I quiet the competing voices. I silence the accusations. I release the noise. I lean in toward the one who speaks life. And as I wait, I trust that you will call me by name, just as you always have, and just as you always will. Father, after leaning in to hear the sound of your voice, I find myself confronted with another truth. The clearer your voice becomes, the more aware I am of my own frailty. Hearing you reminds me how small I am and how much I need what only you can provide. It is not a discouraging awareness, it is a humbling one. Because the more I see my weakness, the more I recognize the space where your strength can dwell. And in that recognition, there is hope. For so long I tried to hide my frailty, even from myself. I thought admitting weakness was a sign of failure, a crack in the armor I was supposed to wear. I believed I had to be strong at all times, to keep everything together, to show no sign of struggle. But that only led to exhaustion. It left me pretending on the outside while trembling on the inside. Now, Father, I see that weakness is not something to fear, but something to bring into your presence. It is the very soil where your power grows. Your word says that your strength is made perfect in weakness. I never understood that fully until I began to realize that what I try to hide is the very thing you want to use. You are not asking me to display flawless courage. You are asking me to bring my trembling hands and let you steady them. You are not asking me to stand tall on my own. You are asking me to lean into you so you can hold me upright. What the world sees as limitation, you see as invitation. Father, I bring you my weakness now, naming it without fear. The times when anxiety tightens my chest and I cannot breathe freely. The times when fatigue weighs me down and I cannot take another step without collapsing. The times when my mind runs in circles and I cannot silence its noise. The times when grief takes me under and I cannot find the strength to rise. These moments expose me, but they also point me back to you, because in those moments, when I have nothing left to offer, you do not turn away, you move closer. Let me remember that weakness is not an obstacle to your work. It is the doorway through which your grace enters. Let me stop striving to cover it. Stop pretending to be more than I am, and instead allow your power to rest on me. It is in the cracks of my soul that your light shines brightest. It is in the frailty of my body that your healing presence feels strongest. It is in the trembling of my voice that your spirit speaks most clearly. I think of Paul, who pleaded for the thorn in his flesh to be removed, only to hear you say that your grace was sufficient. He did not receive release from his struggle, but he received something better, an abiding strength that carried him through. That is what I want. Father, not a life without weakness, but a life where every weakness becomes a canvas for your strength. So teach me to boast not in accomplishments, but in dependence. Teach me to rejoice not when I appear strong, but when your strength sustains me in my frailty. Teach me to stop measuring myself by human standards of success and instead measure myself by how deeply I rely on you. Let my weakness become the song that draws me closer to you. Father, when I feel I am failing, remind me that you are steady. When I feel my voice falter, remind me that you are the one who speaks through me. When I feel my body collapse, remind me that you are the lifter of my head. When I feel my hope slipping, remind me that you are the anchor that holds. I do not have to be enough, because you are more than enough. This morning I choose to let go of the shame tied to my limits. I choose to see my lack not as a curse, but as a call. I choose to see my inability not as failure, but as the place where your ability begins. I choose to trust that when I cannot, you still can, and that is enough. Father, let my weakness make me compassionate toward others. Let it soften my heart so I do not judge those who stumble, but instead reach out with the same mercy I have received. Let my weakness remind me that every person carries hidden burdens, unseen battles, unspoken fears. Let it shape me into someone who encourages rather than condemns, someone who lifts rather than tears down. If I must carry weakness through this life, let it become a testimony of your sustaining grace. Let it show others that endurance is possible not because of human strength, but because of divine presence. Let it declare that broken vessels still shine when filled with your Spirit. Let it point beyond me to the God who never fails, even when his children do. So I stand before you, Father, with nothing to prove. I do not need to pretend. I do not need to perform. I do not need to hide the fragile parts of me. I simply bring them into your hands, knowing you will not discard me for being weak. You will shape me, hold me, and fill me until what others see as fragile becomes a testimony of your enduring strength. And as I walk into this day, let that truth stay with me. Let every task, every conversation, every challenge be carried not by my might, but by yours. Let every step remind me that even when I falter, I am upheld. Let every breath remind me that your strength is alive in me, steady and unshaken. And when others look at my life, let them see not a person who conquered everything alone, but a soul who leaned on you and found that it was enough. Father, after learning to accept my weakness as the very place where your strength rests, I realize that life does not pause to give me room to breathe. Storms still come, winds still rise, and waves still beat against the fragile places of my soul. My weakness might make me aware of my limits, but the storms remind me how desperately I need something steady. Something sure, something unshaken when everything else trembles. That is why this morning I turn to you as my anchor, the only one who can hold me fast when the seas grow wild. Storms do not ask for permission. They arrive without warning, shattering calm with sudden force. They come through unexpected loss, through fractured trust, through diagnoses that change the course of a life. They come in moments when I thought I was secure, and they expose how fragile my foundations really are. Father, I cannot stop the storms. I cannot control the winds or silence the thunder, but I can cling to you, and in clinging, I find the kind of peace that is not dependent on calmer weather, but on the unshakable presence of the one who never moves. You promise that hope in you is like an anchor for the soul, firm and secure, and that picture steadies me now. An anchor does not silence the waves. It does not remove the storm, but it keeps the vessel from drifting, from being carried into destruction. That is what I need. Father, not a life without storms, but a heart that holds steady because it is bound to you. I confess that sometimes I forget to drop the anchor. I let fear toss me back and forth. I let anxiety drive me toward rocky shores. I let doubt pull me under waves of despair. In those moments, I forget that you are near, that your strength is available, that your promises are still true. So this morning I reach again for the rope and throw the anchor of my soul into the deep assurance of who you are. Not who I hope you might be, but who you have already proven yourself to be: faithful, present, sovereign, good. Father, when storms rage, remind me of Jesus asleep in the boat, unshaken by the waves that terrified his disciples. He was not careless. He was not unaware. He was confident in the power that could command wind and sea with a word. That same presence is with me now. And if he can still the sea, he can also still my heart. The waves may roar around me, but they do not have the final say. Let me learn to trust the storm itself as part of your design. Not because the chaos is good, but because you are able to use even the chaos to shape me. Storms reveal what I rely on. They show me whether my confidence is in myself or in you. They strip away illusions of control and leave me cling to what truly lasts. So instead of asking only for calm, I ask for clarity in the storm. Show me where I have trusted in false anchors. Show me where I have tethered myself to things that cannot hold. Show me how to let go of what fails, so I may cling only to what endures. Father, I ask for courage when the storm grows darker than my strength can bear. Courage not born of denial, but of conviction that you are stronger than every force against me. Courage to speak truth when fear tells me to stay silent. Courage to stand steady when everything inside wants to run. Courage to believe that the storm will not last forever, and that even if it does, you will not leave me in it alone. I ask also for peace, not the shallow kind that disappears with the first gust of wind, but the kind that seeps into my bones and refuses to let go. Peace that whispers you are here, even when I cannot feel it. Peace that steadies my breath when panic tries to take over. Peace that is not fragile, because is built on the foundation of your sovereignty. And Father, let me remember that storms are not always personal. Sometimes they come to teach me how to help others. Sometimes they prepare me to speak words of hope into the chaos of another heart. If my storm can make me compassionate, if my endurance can strengthen someone else, if my faith can encourage another soul trembling in the wind, then let this storm bear fruit. Let it not be wasted. I hold on to the truth that no storm is stronger than your grip. No wind can loosen what you have secured. No wave can carry me where your presence cannot reach. Even if the vessel creaks and the sails tear, I know I am safe because my anchor is in you. My security is not in the absence of waves, but in the certainty of your hold. So I breathe in the storm. Father, not with ease but with trust. I will not deny the fear that comes, but I will not let it rule me. I will let your presence be the weight that steadies me, the force that keeps me grounded, the assurance that no matter how fierce the tempest becomes, I will not be lost. And when the storm finally passes, as all storms eventually do, let me walk out of it stronger, more certain, more anchored than before. Let me step onto calm shores with a heart that remembers not only the violence of the wind, but the strength of the one who held me steady through it all. Father, after holding on to you as my anchor through the storm, I notice something shifting within me. The winds may not be gone completely, but in the calm that follows, I feel a quiet stirring deep in my chest. Like the first breath after being held underwater, it is not just relief, it is hope, gentle, fragile, but alive. And I know it does not come from me. It comes from you, the one who breathes life into places that felt beyond revival. Hope, Father, is often harder to hold than despair. Despair feels heavy, but it is familiar. Hope feels lighter, but it asks me to trust what I cannot yet see. It asks me to believe in mornings, even while the night lingers. It asks me to stand up when I still feel weak. And yet, when I remember who you are, I know hope is not a fragile wish. It is a steady gift, carried on the breath of your spirit. I think of Ezekiel's vision of the valley of dry bones, a place where death had already claimed its hold, where nothing seemed possible, where silence reigned. Yet you asked him, "Can these bones live?" And with your breath, what was dead rose again. Father, I believe you are still breathing like that today, into the places of my heart that feel brittle, into the corners of my story that seem finished, into the relationships that look beyond repair, into the dreams I buried because I thought they had no chance of life. Your breath is enough to awaken what I had given up on. This morning I ask for that breath again, not just to fill my lungs with air, but to fill my soul with courage. Let hope rise within me like a flame that cannot be extinguished. Let it push back the shadows of fear that linger after the storm. Let it remind me that the story is not over, that every ending is an opportunity for resurrection. Father, I confess that I sometimes guard myself against hope. I think that if I expect nothing, I will not be disappointed. I lower my vision, telling myself it is safer not to dream. But that is not the life you call me to. You do not ask me to settle for survival. You call me to abundant life, to faith that dares to believe again, to hope that looks foolish to the world but precious to you. So teach me to hope bravely. Teach me to hope fully. Teach me to open my heart wide enough to receive what you are preparing. Let your breath sweep through me, clearing away the dust of old fears. Let it renew my strength like morning air filling weary lungs. Let it whisper promises that remind me I am not forgotten. Let it give me vision beyond what I can see today, a vision that lifts my eyes above what feels final and points me toward what you are still creating. Father, let this hope not be shallow or fleeting. Let it be rooted in truth, anchored in your word, strengthened by your spirit. Let it endure beyond feelings, beyond circumstances, beyond the shifting of days. Let it remain steady when disappointment tries to return. Let it remind me that even when prayers are not answered in the way I expect, they are never ignored. You are always at work, always breathing, always bringing forth life from what seems impossible. I ask also for hope not only for myself, but for those around me. There are people I know who sit in valleys of dry bones right now. They feel forgotten, abandoned, silenced by despair. Breathe on them too. Father, let them sense new life stirring where they thought nothing could grow. Let them know that you see them, that you have not walked away, that even their dreariest places are not beyond your reach. Use me, if you will, to carry hope to them. Let my words and actions carry echoes of your breath, gentle reminders that they are not alone. And when I struggle to hold on to hope, let me remember that it is not built on my strength, but on yours. Hope is not fragile because it is carried by the God who does not fail. It is not unstable because it rests on the promises of the one whose word never returns empty. It is not uncertain because it looks beyond today into eternity. So even when I feel shaky, my hope remains firm because it is held in you. Father, let hope be the air I breathe today. Let it move through every thought, every choice, every step. Let it remind me that no storm, no silence, no shadow is stronger than your life-giving presence. Let it keep me tender when cynicism tempts me. Let it keep me steady when discouragement presses close. Let it keep me alive when all I want to do is give up. This morning I inhale deeply, trusting that with each breath, your spirit fills me anew. I exhale the weight of despair, releasing it into your hands. I inhale your promises, letting them settle in my heart. I exhale fear, letting it lose its grip, breath by breath. Hope rises, breath by breath. Courage grows, breath by breath. I find myself alive again in ways I thought were gone. And as the day stretches before me, I will carry this hope not as a fragile flame I must protect, but as a fire that cannot be quenched. For it is not my fire, it is yours, breathed into me by grace, sustained by your Spirit, burning steady even when the winds rise again. Father, as I breathe in the hope you have awakened within me, I become more aware that hope must be guarded, because once hope rises, resistance often follows. The moment light enters, shadows try to creep back in. And so I know this day will not go unchallenged. I will need more than resolve. I will need more than emotion. I will need faith, not just as belief in my mind, but as a shield around my spirit. You remind me in your word that faith is not passive. It is armor, a shield lifted high to extinguish every flaming arrow of the enemy. Not just some, not most, but everyone. Doubt, discouragement, accusation, fear, they come like darts aimed at the core of my identity. They whisper lies dressed in logic. They question what you have already spoken. And if I let them settle, they begin to shape how I see you, how I see myself, how I see the world around me. So this morning, Father, I choose to lift the shield. I do not wait for the battle to begin. I raise it now, not with panic, with purpose, because faith is not the absence of struggle. It is the declaration of trust in the middle of it. Faith does not pretend everything is perfect. It proclaims that even in the imperfections, you are still God, and that is enough. I may not feel strong, but I do not need to be, because faith is not rooted in how I feel. It is rooted in who you are, and you are unshaken, unwavering, and undefeated. So when fear tries to shake my footing, I lift faith. When anxiety circles my mind, I lift faith. When shame tries to remind me of my past, I lift faith. When I feel surrounded, I remember that I am not defenseless. Father, thank you that faith is not something I have to manufacture on my own. It is a gift from you, a gift that grows the more I use it. So today, I use it again. I believe that what you have promised, you will fulfill. I believe that even when I cannot see the outcome, you are working in ways beyond my understanding. I believe that no matter what I face, I do not face it alone. Let my faith not be fragile. Let it be firm. Not built on feelings that shift with the wind, but on truth that stands no matter what comes. Let it rise with every breath. Let it grow through every challenge. Let it be the filter through which I see the world, not through fear, not through doubt, but through the confidence that you are exactly who you say you are. I ask you, Father, to remind me of the victories I have already walked through with you, times when fear came loud, but you were louder, times when everything said it would fall apart, and yet it did not because you held it together. These are the stones of remembrance I carry with me, evidence that you have not failed before, and you will not fail now. And even if the enemy presses harder, even if lies try to disguise themselves as reason. I will not lower this shield. I will not trade truth for temporary comfort. I will not give ground to fear disguised as logic. I will stand firm, not because I am brave, but because I am covered. I am covered in faith. I am covered in your promises. I am covered in grace that cannot be undone. Let faith shape the words I speak today. Let my conversations carry confidence, not just in myself, but in you. Let my silence be filled with trust, not tension. Let my choices be marked by belief that you are guiding, even when the path is narrow. Let my prayers be lifted not as desperate wishes, but as confident declarations rooted in faith that you hear, you see, and you act in perfect time. Father, I also pray for others who are weary in the battle. Some are struggling just to keep their shield lifted. The weight of loss, the pressure of unanswered questions, the heaviness of delay, it all makes their arms grow tired. Strengthen them now. Whisper to their hearts that it is okay to rest, and that you will hold the line while they breathe. Let them know they are not alone. Let my faith today stand beside theirs. Let my prayers cover the gaps where doubt tries to break through. And when the arrows do come, and I know they will help me to respond, not with fear, with the shield already in place. Let the lies bounce off truth. Let the whispers fall to the ground. Let the threats lose their power in the presence of unshakable faith. Father, help me not to lower my guard when things feel calm. Let faith be my daily posture, not my emergency response. Let it be the lens through which I walk, speak, work, love, and decide. Let it protect the hope you have placed in me. Let it guard the joy that has begun to rise. Let it keep my heart from shrinking back into fear. And if today brings battles I did not expect, if it holds challenges I feel unprepared for, let me remember that my readiness does not depend on me. It depends on you. My shield is not handmade. It is heaven-made. It is forged in truth, bound by grace, held up by the strength of your spirit. So I will not back down. I will not be silenced by fear. I will not trade my peace for panic. I lift the shield, and I stand behind it, covered by faith in the one who never fails. Dear Father, in the silence that follows my surrender, I feel the hush of a holy pause, as if the whole world is holding its breath for something only you can release. In the weariness of waiting, in the heavy stillness where nothing seems to move forward, I come again to this sacred place of conversation. The dryness of delay can parch the spirit, Father, but I believe you are the one who makes streams flow in deserts and who causes flowers to bloom in barren lands. My trust is not in my perception of progress, but in your promise to never abandon the one who leans upon you. There are days when my soul feels like cracked ground, scorched and forgotten, where even prayer seems to echo without reply. And yet I bring you these pieces again. I do not hide them, nor do I pretend to be whole. I bring you my fatigue, my questions, my scattered faith, and I lay them out in the sunlight of your mercy. You are the God who meets Elijah under the broom tree, not with rebuke, but with rest and a meal. You are not impatient with my emptiness. You nourish me gently in the stillness. Father, I long to see water where there has only been dust. I crave your movement in the places where I have only known silence. I confess that I sometimes mistake delay for denial, and drought for abandonment. But deep down, I know you are not absent. You are the quiet breath in my lungs. You are the hope that flickers but does not die. You are the voice that speaks not always through thunder, but often in the whisper that follows. Remind me that the desert is not a punishment, but a passage, a path carved not to destroy but to refine. You led your people through the wilderness not to withhold, but to prepare. Manna did not fall in palaces, but in wastelands. And even when the scenery seemed unchanged, you were moving within hearts. So if my landscape does not shift, let my spirit be the place of transformation. Let me become a living well, fed by unseen springs that only faith can tap into. When I feel dry, let me remember the rock struck in the wilderness, the water that flowed from what seemed lifeless. If you could bring life from stone, surely you can bring life from me. Let your spirit be the stream that moves beneath my surface, refreshing the roots I cannot see, sustaining the faith that dares to hope for more. Do not let the barrenness deceive me into believing you have ceased to work. Teach me to expect miracles, not always in sudden floods, but in the slow, steady drip of your grace. I do not ask for a way around the desert, Father, but for the strength to walk through it without losing my song. Let my praise rise not only when fields are full, but when the sky is empty. Let me sing because you are still worthy, even if I do not yet see the rain. Let gratitude be my defiance against despair. Let faith be my rebellion against dryness. Let trust be the anthem that coos across every empty space in my life. You see the unseen reservoirs. You know where the streams will break forth. You alone chart the places where refreshment will rise. I may feel lost, but you are the God who guides with cloud by day and fire by night. I may feel forgotten, but you are the shepherd who counts every sheep, who searches for the one, who carries the weary on your shoulders. Let me rest in that knowledge when my map seems blank and my strength seems gone. Father, I lift to you those places in my life that feel lifeless, my relationships that feel stuck, my dreams that feel withered, my prayers that seem unanswered. Breathe on them again. Speak new life into what I have silently deemed over. Remind me that Abraham had no child when you called him the father of nations, that Sarah laughed in disbelief before she held a promise in her arms. You do not depend on present evidence to fulfill eternal plans. Where others see a desert, let me see a doorway. Where others hear silence, let me listen for symphonies. You are not the God of almost. You are the God of completion. You do not lead into deserts to abandon. You lead to reveal, to test, to strengthen, to draw nearer. So even now, even here, I say yes, not because I feel it, but because I know you, and that knowing is my water in the wilderness. Let me draw deeply from your word today. Let it not sit unopened beside me, but come alive within me. Let Isaiah's promise ring louder than my doubt, that you will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Let that not be just a verse I recite, but a truth I embody. When my steps feel heavy, let your word be the staff I lean on. When my heart feels faint, Let your promises be the shade that cools me. Today, I do not ask for everything to be made easy, but I ask for your nearness. If the sun burns bright and the road ahead is long, let me walk it with you. Let your presence be the oasis I return to, again and again, until one day I realize that even in the desert, I never lacked a thing, because where you are, there is always enough. Where you dwell, life springs forth. Father, hold me close in this journey. Teach me to walk by faith and not by sight. Let the dust on my feet be a testimony that I walked through dry places and still found joy. Let the cracks in my heart be the places where your light shone through. Let my story be one not of avoidance, but of transformation. That I did not skip the desert, but I found you in it, and that made all the difference. Father, even in the desert places where I have wandered, even in the silence where answers felt slow to come, I have known you to be near. And now, as this morning unfolds again, I feel a new kind of one not of emptiness, but of longing. A longing for deeper shelter, for rest beneath something unshakable. The winds of the world are loud, but there is a quiet place beneath the shelter of your wings where I can finally lay down my fears. I imagine myself leaning in close to you, like a child resting on the chest of someone strong enough to carry their world. Father, you are that place. You are the hiding place in the storm, when the noise of confusion rises around me. When the battles within threaten to break my resolve, let me remember that I do not need to outrun the storm. I only need to reach for the shelter you provide. The world often tells me to be unshakable, to be tough, to keep pressing forward. But I have learned that true strength does not always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like staying still under the protection of your presence. Sometimes strength means choosing not to fight alone, but to rest under the shadow of someone greater. I have no need to impress you with my endurance. You already know how tired I am. Father, I bring you every part of me that still flinches at thunder, every anxious thought that rises in the middle of the night, every fear that has grown too loud to ignore. Cover me with your peace like a wing stretched wide across the trembling of my spirit. I am not asking you to remove all trouble, but to make me so aware of your presence that trouble loses its power to shake me. Let your nearness quiet the lies I sometimes believe, that I am alone, that I am too broken, that I must perform to earn love. In the shelter of your wings, those voices fade. In your shadow, I remember who I truly am, not a burden, not a failure, but a beloved child, a soul worth protecting, a heart worth holding close. When I look back, Father, I see the storms I thought would consume me, but they did not because I was strong, but because you were steady. You held me when I did not even realize I was falling. You lifted me when I could not walk another step. And now, I lift my eyes not to the sky in fear, but in awe, because even the fiercest clouds cannot hide the light of your covering. Help me, Lord, to trust the covering I cannot see. Sometimes your protection does not feel like a wall, it feels like a whisper, a nudge, peace I can't explain. Help me not to mistake vulnerability for defeat. Being under your wing is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the wisdom of surrender, of knowing where to run when the world begins to spin too fast. You are my place of refuge, not just when the world erupts, but when I crumble from within. Even when my own thoughts become the storm, you do not abandon me. You do not tire of my returning. There is no limit to how many times I can crawl back to your shelter. And so, once again, I come not with eloquence, but with honesty, with trembling hands and tired eyes. I come. Let your presence fall over me like a warm blanket before dawn. Let the winds blow outside. Let the waves rise and crash. But here, within the covering of your promise, I will not be moved. My heart may still shake, but my soul will stand, because you are the one who shields what matters most. You guard not only my body, but my hopes, my purpose, my very breath. Father, I pray not only for myself, but for those who have forgotten where to run, for the weary ones who think there is no safe place left. Whisper to them now. Let them hear you call their name through the chaos. Let them know there is a wing stretched wide enough for them too, that they are not too far, that it is not too late, that you are not a distant fortress, but a present shelter, just one breath away. Remind me that even in stillness, I am growing, that in waiting, I am being prepared, that the shelter is not a pause in the journey, it is part of the journey, a sacred pause where you restore what the world tried to take, where you repair what life has chipped away, where you speak softly, and I finally have space to hear. And when the time comes to step back out, to walk into the wind once more, let me go with the assurance that I carry your shadow with me, that your covering is not confined to a single place or time. It follows me like a promise etched into my spirit. I am never outside your reach, never outside your sight, never beyond the wings of mercy that stretch from heaven to earth. Father, teach me to live from this shelter, not just to visit it when I am desperate, but to abide in it as my default posture. Let me build my rhythms around the quiet strength of your nearness. Let my words come from peace, not panic. Let my decisions be shaped by faith, not fear. Let my identity flow from your love, not the opinions that swirl around me. Today, I choose this sacred covering. I choose to believe that I am not exposed, that I am not vulnerable to the cruelty of the world without a protector. You go before me. You stand behind me. You hover above me. And even within me, your spirit breathes calm into the corners I keep hidden. There is no part of me you do not protect. So as the sun climbs higher and the day unfolds, I will walk forward, but not uncovered, not afraid. I will move with the quiet strength of someone who knows they are shielded, with the calm of a soul who has heard the whisper of God and chosen to stay near. And when the night returns, I will crawl back beneath the shelter of your wings, not as a guest, but as one who belongs. Father, as I linger in the memory of your shelter, I find myself breathing deeper. Something within me has quieted, not because the world has gone silent, but because I have begun to trust that you are louder than my fears even in stillness. From the shadow of your wings, I now feel drawn to the waters of your presence, gentle, clear, steady, a place where striving ceases, where the soul can drink and not thirst again. There is something sacred in these still waters, Father, not stagnant, not lifeless but calm with purpose, flowing with your peace, reflecting the sky like a mirror of heaven resting on earth. I did not know how thirsty I was until I came here again, until my feet touched the coolness of grace, until my hands, worn from grasping for control, finally let go and opened wide to receive. I have chased many streams that promised to satisfy, streams of approval, success, and fleeting pleasures, but they dried quickly. They asked me to pour more of myself in than I ever received. And yet here, in this quiet flow of your love, I find that I do not need to perform. I do not need to produce. I only need to be present. And in that presence, I am filled. Father, teach me to return here often not just in desperation, but in devotion. In the ordinary moments between chaos, in the hidden spaces of my schedule, I do not want to live dehydrated, drawing only from the shallow wells of this world. I want to root myself beside your river, to plant my trust deep into the soil of your faithfulness. Let my thoughts be watered by truth. Let my actions flow from rest. I confess how often I have run dry without even realizing. How often I have mistaken business for purpose and noise for meaning. You do not shout to get my attention. You invite. You whisper. You wait. And now, in this moment, I choose to wait with you, to let the rush slow, to let the clutter fall away, to remember that it is not in the running that I am, renewed it is in the remaining. These still waters do not erase the landscape of my life. They simply reflect it in a new light. They help me see that even the hardest places carry glimpses of beauty, that even in barrenness, there can be softness, that even in loss, there is the quiet promise of more. Not always more things, but more of you. And that is what I long for most. You lead me here not to isolate me, but to reconnect me to my own heart, to your truth, to the beauty around me I so often overlook. The sky, the trees, the morning light, even the sound of my own breath all become reminders that I am still alive in your care. I am not forgotten in the noise. I am remembered in the quiet. I do not need to scream to be seen. You see me even when I am still. So I linger a little longer. I listen. I let my soul lean into yours without the need for answers. This is not a place for explanations. It is a place for encounter. And you meet me here not with judgment, but with gentleness. You do not demand that I prove my worth. You offer the kind of presence that proves I was always worthy in your eyes. Sometimes I imagine the still waters as more than a metaphor. I imagine a real place, one I can visit with closed eyes and an open spirit. I see you sitting beside me, saying nothing, and yet everything changes because of your nearness. The worries that once pressed on my chest begin to lift. The shame that once haunted me loses its grip. The pressure to figure it all out begins to dissolve, and in its place, a strange, holy peace begins to rise. Let that peace flow through every part of me. Father, let it reach the wounded places I keep hidden, the questions I am afraid to ask, the exhaustion I try to ignore. Let it touch my memories, even the painful ones, with a balm only you can provide. Let it fill the cracks that business cannot seal. Let it reshape my rhythms into something more human, more whole. I do not need a perfect day ahead. I only need a grounded heart. And here, beside the waters you lead me to, I begin to feel grounded again, not in outcomes or achievements, but in presence. In this breath, in this choice to trust, I release the grip I have had on my own plans. I open my hands again to what you have prepared. Whether it looks like what I wanted or not, I choose to believe it will be enough. Father, help me to be a bearer of this stillness in a restless world, not by pretending life is easy, but by embodying the peace that flows from staying close to you. Let others find refreshment in the way I speak, the way I pause, the way I show up with sincerity. Let my presence carry the residue of having been with you. Not hurried, not frantic, but clear, anchored, alive. If others are searching for rest and do not know where to find it, let my life be a signpost pointing back to you, not to religion, not to performance, but to the quiet waters where grace runs deep, to the space where hearts are revived. Let the way I live stir a thirst in others, not just for answers, but for encounter. And when they ask where this peace comes from, let my story be simple. It came from time with you. Father, today I receive what I so often forget to ask for. I receive the permission to slow down, to breathe, to let my soul catch up with my body, to listen more than I speak, to trust more than I fear, to rest more than I strive. And in this stillness, I will not be idle, I will be renewed. Thank you for being the kind of God who does not rush me past my pain, who does not pull me out of the deep places too soon, but who instead sits with me beside still waters and reminds me that peace is not the absence of trouble, it is the presence of love that will not leave. And here, in this quiet moment, that is enough. Father, when the burden presses hard and my feet falter beneath the weight, I remember your promise to carry those who cannot carry themselves. The stillness left behind in the previous chapter now opens into wind that moves me gentle but firm, unseen but certain. I feel it even when I do not see it. I feel it even when I do not believe I deserve it. This is your grace. Father, unearned, unsought, but freely given. And today, I come with open hands, not asking for strength from within, but wings from above. I have tried to walk this path by my own resolve. I have whispered verses like armor, declared hope like a chant, and told myself I was healed even when the wounds bled fresh. But I have come to know something deeper. Grace is not about trying harder. It is about surrender. Grace is not my effort wrapped in a prayer. It is your mercy wrapped around my collapse. So now I collapse into you. Carry me. Father, in this hour, I am weary not from one day, but from 100 yesterdays stacked behind my eyes. My soul has grown tired of pretending I am not tired. And yet you say, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That is not a contract. It is a covenant. That is not a suggestion. It is an embrace. And I lean into it now not because I am faithful, but because you are. Carry me when I forget how to pray. Carry me when the words dry up and all I have is a sigh. Carry me when my hope has hands too weak to hold the rope. I do not ask to fly, I ask only to be lifted. Because I know you will not drop me. You are not the God of conditions. You are the Father of compassion. The shepherd who carries the lamb too broken to walk. Even now, I can feel your arms beneath me, grace in motion, not magic but miracle. You do not shout above my struggle. You whisper beneath it. You do not demand I stand. You kneel to lift me. Grace is not lightning. It is light. It comes not to dazzle but to guide. I have chased fire from the sky, but now I follow the quiet glow that burns steady and sure. Father, remind me that grace is not the reward of the worthy, but the rescue of the worn. Let me rest in that. Let me stop measuring myself against yesterday's failures. Let me stop proving I am good enough and simply trust that you are. In the court of heaven, I have no defense, only a plea, and your grace answers not with judgment, but with joy, not with a gavel, but with a garment. The robe of your love wraps around me again. I see now that grace is not a one-time gift, but a daily wind, lifting me over moments I would stumble through alone. It is present in the kindness of a stranger, in the silence that comforts more than words, in the sunrise that keeps showing up even when I do not. Grace arrives before I ask, lingers when I forget to thank, and stays long after I fall apart. So today, Father, I ask for no signs in the sky, only steady air beneath my soul. I ask not for spectacle but sustenance, not to conquer, but to be carried. Carry me over regrets that threaten to drown me. Carry me past voices that tell me I am not enough. Carry me through days that feel endless and nights that will not end. Carry me on the wings of grace above shame, beyond fear, through weariness. Let me soar not with pride, but with peace. Let me glide through this day held not by resolve, but by refuge. If I stumble, do not scold, just scoop me up again. If I doubt, do not retreat, just draw closer still. For grace does not leave when I waver. It leans in, it holds on, it finishes what it begins. And if I forget again tomorrow, if I return to striving and proving and grasping, remind me gently, grace is still here. Grace has not changed. Grace does not grow tired of lifting me. Because you, Father, do not grow weary. You do not sleep. You do not sigh when I fall again. You simply stretch out your hands, the same hands that formed the heavens, and you lift your child one more time. So let today be the day I stop trying to earn what was always given. Let today be the day I walk not on my own, but carried. Let today be the day I finally believe that grace is not the edge of your love, it is its center. Carry me, Father, not for display, not for the praise of others, not even for my own comfort, but because you delight in mercy, because you are moved by compassion, because you are not a distant king, but a present Father, and because I am your child. Let your grace be the rhythm beneath my steps, the strength beneath my silence, the calm beneath my chaos. Let it be my wings. Father, when the night seems longest and silence wraps around me like a cold, unyielding shroud, I still whisper your name. From the quiet that followed yesterday as surrender, I rise again this morning, not with strength, but with a fragile flicker of hope that refuses to be snuffed out. I sense that even in my emptiness, you are not absent. Even when nothing changes outwardly, something unseen is being rebuilt within. It is here, in the ashes of all I thought would save me, that I begin to look for you with new eyes. The soul that has wept until it is dry now leans into a deeper yearning, not for answers, not even for relief, but simply for your presence. I know now that the most profound hope is not always loud or exuberant. Sometimes, it is just a trembling breath in the dark, a heartbeat that still dares to beat, a faith that stands on bruised knees and says, "Still, I believe." Hope is not the absence of sorrow. It is the courage to hope while the tears are still falling. And so, in this desolate space, I choose not to fear the quiet. I choose not to fill the silence with desperate noise, but to sit in it with you. Let the wilderness speak what comfort cannot. Let this stillness become sacred, not empty. Teach me to listen, Father, not to the voice of doubt or despair, but to the deeper hum of grace that stirs even in the hollows of loss. I no longer ask you to remove the desert. I only ask you to meet me in it. There are moments I feel like a single leaf, curled and withering, barely clinging to the branch. But even the smallest leaf feels the wind. Even the most fragile stem is touched by the light. And perhaps that is enough just to know you are near. Just to trust that if you have brought me here, you will not leave me here. I am learning that desolation is not abandonment. It may be the very soil where new hope grows. In these dry places, when my prayers echo back with no reply, I remember the stories of those who walked long roads before me, wandering prophets, imprisoned apostles, grieving saints, each of them waiting, each of them hoping, each of them loved beyond their comprehension. They were not forsaken, neither am I, and neither is the one listening now who feels forgotten. Let them know, Father, that their silence is seen, that you dwell in the H as surely as you dwell in the praise. Hope in desolation is not naive. It is not blind optimism. It is the anchor of the soul, tied not to what we see but to who you are. I do not hope because I know how this ends. I hope because I know you are good. I hope because you have been faithful in ways I only understood in hindsight. I hope because even in the depths of pain, I have found a love that does not waver, a love that does not recoil from my questions or my weakness, a love that remains. Father, today, as the sun rises outside and casts its golden touch on another fragile morning, let hope rise with it. Let it rise not as a shout, but as a whisper, not as a triumph, but as a quiet resolve. Let it rise like the first birdsong after a storm, soft, hesitant, but unmistakably alive. Let it remind my heart that this wilderness has an end, even if I cannot see it yet. Let me trust that you are doing something holy even in the hidden places. And if there are others walking this same valley today, others who are tired, others who feel like nothing will ever bloom again, place their names on my heart, that I may carry them to you. Let me be a vessel of hope to someone who has forgotten how to pray. Let my own brokenness become a bridge, not a wall. Use my desolation to whisper to theirs, you are not alone. Hold on. God is not finished. I place no demands on today. Father, I release every expectation. I simply bring you my breath, my willingness, my H. I bring you the raw truth of who I am, without pretending. And I believe you can hold it all. I trust that you are not repelled by the mess, but that you step into it, calling forth life from dust, beauty from ruin. I trust that you waste nothing, not even sorrow. So I will wait. I will wait not in despair, but in anticipation, for rain on a thirsty land, for warmth in this cold season, for a way in the wilderness, for you. And I will speak to the stillness, not to demand it to leave, but to recognize that perhaps you are in it, not in the fire or the wind, but in the gentle whisper, the kind of whisper that reshapes a soul, the kind that writes a new story. Hope. Father, that is what I cling to now, not the kind born from outcomes, but from intimacy. Hope that does not require explanation or validation. Hope that simply believes you are here. And because you are here, I am not lost. Because you are here, I will rise again. Because you are here, even desolation becomes holy ground. And in the quiet of this morning, as I hold this sacred H in my chest, I ask for just one thing more than understanding. I ask for communion, for the kind of closeness that turns sorrow into song, and stillness into sanctuary. Walk with me here. Father, whisper to me here. Stay with me here, until the dawn breaks into day, and I find that I was never forsaken, not even for a moment. Father, in this sacred stillness I come again, the same heart that cried yesterday, now learning to be still in you. The winds have quieted, not because the storm is over, but because my soul is finally beginning to understand the gift hidden in the pause. As the silence stretches around me, I find myself neither panicked nor pressing for answers, but simply leaning into your presence like a child waiting by the window, trusting that you will come, even if I do not know when. I used to dread silence. It felt like absence, like being forgotten. But now, in this quiet, I am starting to sense you more than ever. It is not that the pain has disappeared or that I have suddenly found all the answers. No, it is the comfort of knowing that I do not need to strive for control. You are working in ways I cannot see. My waiting is not wasted when it is grounded in you. You are the God who sees even in the silence, who moves even when the surface shows no ripples. Father, help me to wait like the watchman who waits for the morning, not because he can make the sun rise faster, because he knows it will rise. I want that kind of certainty not because I demand outcomes, but because I trust in your character. You are faithful, you are kind, you are never late, and never indifferent. While I wait, you are shaping me, revealing truths that only the stillness can uncover. Let me not rush ahead or pull back in frustration. Instead, grant me the peace of surrender, the ability to be present with you in the not yet. I do not want to fill the silence with noise or distractions. I want to sit in it with you. Teach me to listen more than I speak, to breathe deeply instead of trying to force clarity. Some of your most powerful answers are whispered in the stillness, not shouted in the thunder. Today, Father, I let go of the timeline I have built in my head. I release the pressure to prove, to solve, to hurry. You are not slow, as some understand slowness. You are patient, intentional, perfectly wise. I may not see the full picture now, but I know the artist, and that is enough. Let my heart beat to the rhythm of your patience, not my anxiety. Sometimes, in the waiting, I wonder if I have missed you, if I prayed wrong, hoped wrong, or believed wrong. But you remind me that you are not a rewarder of perfection, but of faith, even mustard seed faith, even the trembling kind. So here I am, trembling but faithful, not because I feel strong, but because I am anchored in you. This is the holy work of waiting, to worship you before the miracle comes, to love you without conditions, to remain even when answers seem far. In this stillness, I hear the echoes of promises you have spoken over me. They are not lost. They are not void. They are simply incubating, waiting for the perfect moment to unfold. And maybe, just maybe, the waiting itself is part of the miracle. Maybe what you are doing in me is more sacred than what I am waiting to receive. That thought softens me, it humbles me, invites me to stay. Father, let this time refine my vision. Help me to recognize that not all delays are denials. Not all silence is rejection. Some silence is sacred space for roots to grow deep, for character to be molded, for faith to mature. I do not want to be someone who only trusts when things move quickly. I want to be someone who trusts because you are trustworthy, not because circumstances feel favorable. Remind me that waiting does not mean I have been forgotten. It means you are preparing something worth waiting for. You are orchestrating timing that not only blesses me, but also aligns with the needs of others. The shaping of the world, the unfolding of something far bigger than I can grasp. That truth calms the restlessness in me. You have never been in a rush, yet you have never failed. The desert waited 40 years. The womb waited 90. The cross waited 3 days. And yet, in every story, you came through. Let me find peace in that pattern, comfort in that promise. You are the same God now as you were then. You do not change with the ticking of the clock. So why should I fear the pause? Even now, Father, in this breath, I feel your nearness, not in dramatic displays, but in quiet companionship. The gentle nudge in my spirit, the peace that makes no sense, the strength to go another day without knowing the outcome. That is you. You are not absent in the silence. You are the silence, wrapped in love and presence, waiting for me to lean close enough to hear you. So I lean. I rest my weary thoughts at your feet. I quiet the noise of comparison, of performance, of fear. I let the hush be holy. I allow the stillness to be sacred. And as I do, I begin to sense a shift, not in my circumstances yet, but in my soul, a trust that grows deeper, a faith that roots wider, a love that stretches further than my understanding. Father, thank you for being the God who waits with me, who is not offended by my questions, who holds my impatience and teaches me gentleness. In you, the waiting becomes worship, the silence becomes song, and even if the answer does not come today, I know that you are with me in the not yet, making it just as holy as the fulfilled promise. Father, in this stillness where my thoughts soften and my spirit leans in closer to you, I come again carrying what I cannot articulate, offering what I do not fully understand. The morning stretches wide with its pale golden hush. And here, in the silent spaces between each breath, I feel your nearness more deeply than in 1,000 loud victories. It was only moments ago that I found myself grasping for answers, asking for direction, pleading for clarity, and yet now, as I sit with you in the quiet, I realize you have always been the calm underneath the confusion, the hush beneath the clamor. Father, from the last prayer to this one, something shifted. I had no grand revelation, no flash of thunder or parting skies. But I noticed how my heartbeat slowed when I remembered your promises. I noticed how my shoulders dropped when I spoke your name aloud into the emptiness of my room. I noticed how, in the silence, your presence filled the places where my doubts used to echo. And so I remain here, not needing loud reassurance, but trusting in the quiet assurance that you are working in unseen ways. You are the God of subtle beginnings, the one who forms roots before branches, foundations before towers, purpose before praise. And though I long to see fruit, you remind me that strength is often born in the dark, like seeds beneath the soil, like bones strengthening in stillness, like mountains forming far beneath the ocean floor. You are not absent in my waiting. You are simply building something deeper than I can perceive. So I wait, but not with dread. I wait with wonder. I wait with hope. Father, I confess it is hard sometimes. The world around me moves at a furious pace, rushing to produce, to perform, to prove. But you call me into something different. You invite me to sit with you, to find joy in your gaze even when the answers are withheld. And in this holy slowness, in this sacred pause, I am learning to let go of the need to control. I am learning that trusting you means embracing mystery, that obedience does not always look like action, and sometimes the most powerful thing I can do is to be still and know that you are God. There have been moments I mistook your silence for absence, but now I see silence is not the absence of love. It is the space where love deepens. It is the waiting room of intimacy. And here, in this quiet place, I hear the rhythm of your heart, a rhythm that does not rush, a heartbeat that does not panic, a cadence of peace, whispering to mine, calming the noise I have carried inside me for far too long. You are not hiding from me. Father, you are inviting me deeper. So I bring you my questions without demanding answers. I bring you my fears without requiring immediate relief. I bring you my hopes without attaching them to deadlines. Because I trust that you are not just the God of sudden breakthroughs, but also the God of slow healings, the God of quiet mornings, the God of secret strength, the God of roots. Father, help me to stop striving to be seen, and instead, let be like the seed that dies in darkness, knowing it will rise in time. Help me to honor the hidden seasons, the times when nothing appears to be happening, but everything is being prepared, the moments when others see nothing, but you are watching me grow. Teach me to value depth over visibility, integrity over applause, faithfulness over fame. Teach me to remain where you have planted me, even when growth is not yet visible. In the hush of this morning, I release the need for evidence. I release the urge to perform. I release the pressure to prove. Instead, I pick up your peace. I put on your patience. I sit beneath your shade and let your quiet strength become my own. Let me walk today not with hurried feet, but with holy confidence. Not with noisy striving, but with sacred assurance. Let the stillness I carry become contagious, touching others in the way I speak, in the way I pause, in the way I listen, in the way I love. Father, show me how to honor this silence. Show me how to carry it into a world so thirsty for peace. Let my presence become a sanctuary for others, because I have been with you in the quiet. May the conversations I have today be gentle and gracious, flowing from the well of stillness you have dug deep within me. May my eyes see what hurried people miss. May my ears catch the unspoken needs. May my soul stay anchored even when the waves of urgency rise. In every delay I face today, may I not respond with frustration, but with curiosity. What are you teaching me in the waiting? What are you healing in the silence? What are you mending that I did not know was broken? Help me to see that silence is not wasted time, it is worship. It is reverence. It is trust. And if, in this chapter of my life, you have called me to step back, to slow down, to be hidden, then let me do so with joy, knowing that even the Savior of the world took time to be alone, to withdraw, to pray in places no one saw. If it was holy for him, it must be holy for me. So let me stop resisting the quiet. Let me stop fearing the pause. Let me embrace this slower rhythm and let it carry me deeper into your heart. Father, quiet every fear that speaks louder than your voice. Drown out every lie that says I am forgotten. Cancel every whisper that tells me I am behind. For in your timing, I am exactly where I need to be. In your hands, I am not delayed, I am being developed. And even here, in this silence, you are singing over me songs of deliverance. Let the beauty of stillness be my strength today. Let me walk in gentle boldness, not trying to be everything for everyone, but choosing to be fully yours. Let me remember that I do not need to raise my voice to be heard by you. A whisper from the soul is enough. A silent surrender is louder in heaven than the noisiest performance. So here I am again, not with a performance, but with presence, not with perfect words, but with an open heart. Let this silence carry me to the center of your will, where I will lack nothing, because I am with you. Father, in the quiet of this morning, the first breath of daylight brushes against my window. I return to you again. My heart, still weary from yesterday's burdens, comes seeking something only you can offer, the grace to begin again. And even though I spoke to you just hours ago, something in me needs to feel this closeness again. to press into your presence and whisper, I am still here. Still learning. Still reaching. Yesterday felt like too much. I tried to be strong. I tried to be kind. I tried to be faithful. But my words stumbled and my thoughts wandered and my actions did not always reflect the love I want to live out. And yet, here I am, drawn back to you not out of guilt, because I know you never grow tired of me trying. Because your mercies are new this morning, not recycled or leftover, but new, fresh, and specific for this day. Father, I am asking for that mercy to cover my attempts, to wrap around my bruised intentions, to breathe new life into the places where I have given up. I want to begin again, not by erasing the past, but by letting you redeem it. Let my failures from yesterday be the fertile ground for something gentler today. Let my regrets not be anchors, but roots deepening my dependence on you. You know where I hesitate, where I still carry shame, where I have decided that maybe I just can't do better. But you, in your quiet patience, keep reminding me that my story is still being written, that the chapter I am in does not have to be the one I stay stuck in, that even now, you are unfolding something beautiful in the background, something I can see yet but can choose to trust. I confess that I often look backward more than forward. I rehearse old conversations, replay what I should be said or done, and let that become the soundtrack of my heart. But you, Father, speak differently. You speak of newness. You speak of hope. You call me by a name not tied to my worst moments, but to the identity you gave me before I ever spoke a word. So help me rise today not with performance in mind, but with permission to be real, to be in progress, to be a work of grace. Let me begin again without the weight of proving my worth. Let me begin again not because I have earned a second chance, but because you are a God of endless chances. Not because I am perfect, but because you are present. Teach me not to dread new beginnings. Help me see that in every sunrise, you are offering me another page, another path, another opportunity to walk closer with you. And even if today brings the same challenges, the same triggers, the same weariness, I do not have to be the same within them. I can choose softer words. I can pause before reacting. I can listen longer. Forgive quicker. Stay quieter where ego wants to be loud. Father, show me how to let go of my need to have it all figured out. Remind me that small steps count. That returning to you is the bravest thing I can do on days when I feel lost, that I am not behind, I am not disqualified, I am not forgotten, I am just beginning again. And you are right here in that beginning, not shaking your head, not demanding explanations, just gently inviting me forward. Give me the courage to forgive myself, to unclench my fists and open my hands to grace, to look in the mirror and see not just who I have been, but who I am becoming. Let me speak to myself the way you speak to me, not with condemnation, but with compassion. Let me silence the voice that says I am too broken, too late, too far gone, because your voice is stronger, and your truth is deeper, and your love is wider than every doubt I carry. Today, let beginning again be enough. Let waking up and choosing you, choosing love, choosing kindness, choosing hope be the victory. Even if I fall again, even if I forget, bring me back. And then bring me back again, because I am learning that being yours is not about how perfectly I walk, but about how often I reach for your hand. May my day reflect the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are loved beyond their mistakes. May my decisions be rooted not in fear of failure, but in the freedom of new mercy. May my words plant peace, my eyes search for light, and my heart stay tender even when the world feels hard, and when the doubts whisper that I am not enough. Remind me that I do not have to be because you are. So here I am. Father, with all that I carry and all that I cannot carry, I lay it before you not to have all the answers, but to be held in the questions. I begin again today not because I am strong, but because I know where my strength comes from, not because I am confident, because I trust in your steadiness when mine wavers. Thank you for meeting me in this place. Thank you for never being disappointed in my return. Thank you for making beginning again not a punishment, but a gift, a doorway into deeper faith, wider grace, and truer peace. I do not have to be perfect to be loved. I do not have to be flawless to be faithful. I just have to come back, and here I am, choosing to begin again with you. Heavenly Father, I carry these thoughts to you again, still resting in the echo of chapter 19, where I lifted my heart in surrender and asked for courage to speak the truth in love. And now, as I remain open before you, my heart turns to the aching corners of my life, where relationships are bruised, broken, or distant. I know you care deeply about reconciliation, because your very nature is to restore. You made the first move toward humanity when we turned away, and you continue to initiate healing when we do not even know how to begin. So, Father, with that image of grace, I lay before you every connection in my life that has grown cold, every friendship that has faltered, and every word spoken in haste that built walls where there were once bridges. Help me remember that every relationship carries sacred weight, not because of how perfect it is, but because it reflects something of you. You made us for connection, and yet, in our woundedness, we often retreat or lash out, protect ourselves or push others away. Soften my pride. Father, silence the voice that says, I must win the argument or prove the point. Instead, let me be someone who reaches out with humility. Show me where I need to apologize, not with empty words, but the genuine spirit that longs to make things right. Give me strength to forgive where I have held bitterness too long. Bitterness only anchors me to pain, and I want to be free to love, free to hope, free to be reconciled. Father, I think about the people whose faces come to mind, now those who have wounded me and those I have hurt. Even unknowingly, you see them more clearly than I ever could. I ask that you soften their hearts as you soften mine. Prepare the ground of our meeting. Help us to look beyond old stories and shared disappointments. Give us new eyes, and if restoration is not possible right now, grant me peace in the waiting. Let me release control and trust you are always working beneath the surface, even when reconciliation seems far off. Let my heart remain open, not guarded by fear or cynicism. Teach me, Father, what it means to value people over being right. In moments of disagreement, let my words be slow and measured. Let me listen not to respond, but to truly understand. And if silence is needed more than speech, help me sit in that silence without anxiety. Let me be present, even in discomfort. So much of reconciliation begins not with answers, but with presence. Just as you never withdrew from us in our mess, let me stay near even when it is messy. Let me be an agent of peace, a vessel of understanding, and a bearer of grace. There are stories I have held onto for too long, stories where I painted myself as the victim and someone else as the villain. But life is not always that simple. We all carry wounds. We all long to be seen. Help me reframe these stories through the lens of your love. Maybe we were both hurting. Maybe we were both doing the best we could with what we had. Let that truth settle gently into my spirit and guide me toward compassion. Not every reconciliation will look like it did before. Some relationships change form or direction, but even then, let love remain. Let forgiveness be the final word. Father, I also think of those with whom I have had quiet falling outs, not dramatic, not explosive, but slow fades. Help me see where I have let distance grow, not out of intention, but out of neglect or distraction. Sometimes healing simply begins with a phone call, a message, a hand on the shoulder. Give me the courage to take the first step, to reopen doors I once left ajar but never fully closed. Let me not be so proud or so afraid of rejection that I miss the chance to reconnect. Show me the value of reaching across the gap, and in relationships that remain strained despite my efforts, remind me that I am not responsible for someone else's response. You only ask that I love as best I can. So if my part is done, help me release the rest into your hands. Give me peace in knowing that you are the master weaver, tying threads together in ways I cannot see. I do not need to force reconciliation, only to remain open to it. Father, thank you for the people who have extended grace to me, who have loved me when I was unlovable, who stayed when I gave them reasons to walk away. Let me carry that grace forward. Make me quick to show mercy. Let me believe the best in others, not out of naivety, but out of the same hope that you show us every day. And let this reconciliation not stop with personal relationships. Broaden my heart to long for healing in my community, in my workplace, in my church, in my country. Let me be someone who bridges divides, who speaks peace into tension, who walks boldly into broken places with a heart full of hope. Teach me that reconciliation is not weakness, but strength. It takes courage to repair what has been torn, and it takes faith to believe it can be whole again, even in conflict. Remind me of the bigger picture. Remind me that my words and actions ripple outward. May I sow seeds of peace, not only in private conversations, but in how I engage with the world around me. Help me be someone who creates space for others to feel safe, seen, and known. I end this time not with finality, but with a deepening resolve. I will walk into today with a heart willing to restore, to listen, and to forgive, and in every conversation, may your gentleness guide me. In every silence, may your presence fill the space, and in every attempt to heal what was broken, may your love be the foundation on which I build. I trust that you are the great reconciler, and with you, nothing is too far gone. Father, as my soul continues to walk the tender path you have laid before me, I sense the lingering fragrance of the previous dawn, where we talked of your strength being perfected in weakness. Now, as the morning air rises quietly around me and your presence wraps me in unseen arms, I feel drawn deeper still, past fear and striving, into the quiet sanctuary of truth, not the truth of this world that shifts like sand beneath our feet, but the eternal truth that flows from your word and anchors all things in light. You are the author of truth, not merely a possessor of it. Your truth is not a philosophy I choose or discard. It is the very atmosphere in which my spirit breathes. When the world tries to bend my convictions, when opinions masquerade as facts and feelings take the throne of reason, your truth remains. Unchanging, shining like a beacon in fog, I bow before it. I do not tame it. I allow it to tame me. Each time I read your word, Father, I see not just words, but windows, portals into the heart of the eternal. You do not hide truth from us. You hide it for us buried in the stillness of prayer, whispered in the tension between surrender and faith, written into the story of every tear and triumph. The truth you reveal is not always comfortable, but it is always freeing. You call me not to memorize slogans, but to walk in revelation. You did not ask me to defend a doctrine as much as you asked me to embody a truth that burns within. Your truth is not cold like stone. It is living like fire. It illuminates, purifies, exposes, and heals. And when I dare to let it touch the inner chambers of my heart, I am undone but never destroyed. For your mercy holds me steady while your truth cuts away what cannot remain. Lord, there are days when I confuse familiarity with faith. I nod to your principles while quietly choosing convenience. But truth does not bend to my comfort. Truth calls me to rise. It does not flatter me, it transforms me. It does not chase applause, it demands allegiance. And in a world that trades truth for popularity and conviction for compromise, I ask you to anchor me deeply and stubbornly in what is eternal. May I become a student of your voice. Teach me not only to hear you, but to recognize the cadence of heaven amidst the noise. Show me how to test the spirits, how to discern not with suspicion, but with discernment rooted in love. Let your spirit whisper gently when I begin to drift, and shout when I stubbornly choose deception. Father, as I face today, I know there will be moments when lies will look easier, when silence will feel safer, when truth will seem costly. But in those moments, remind me that compromise may buy comfort, but it always sells my soul at a discount. Give me the courage to speak the truth in love, and the wisdom to know when to speak and when to weep. Let my life become a walking testimony to your truth, not with grand declarations or performative righteousness, but through consistent integrity, quiet courage, and humble obedience. When others watch my life, may they sense something unshakable, not perfection, but a peace that flows from living in alignment with the unchanging heartbeat of heaven. I ask that you protect my mind from the lies that masquerade as freedom, from the philosophies that elevate self over surrender. Fill my thoughts with what is noble, pure, and praiseworthy. Help me recognize when pride is disguising itself as discernment, or when bitterness is dressing up as boldness. Let truth be the lens through which I see everything: my past, my identity, my relationships, my purpose. Father, remind me that truth is not just what I say, it is how I live. If I claim to love you but harbor deceit, I betray both you and myself. If I sing of grace but refuse to walk humbly, I distort the truth I claim to honor. Teach me to walk in integrity even when no one is watching, to forgive when it is hardest, and to yield when you lead me to the hard and holy road. There are days when truth feels lonely, when standing firm means standing alone. In those moments, hold me close and whisper that I am never truly alone. When I stand with you, strengthen the wary parts of me that want to blend in. Remind me that your approval is better than applause, that obedience is worth more than recognition. Let truth not just guard my mind, but ignite my worship. Let it not just correct me, but call me. Let it not just expose the cracks, but be the healing that fills them. May I never become so familiar with your truth that I stop trembling in awe before it. May I never become so self-assured that I forget how desperate I am for your spirit to interpret what my intellect cannot. Thank you, Father, that truth is not a weapon to wound, but a light to guide. It is not a trap, but a treasure. It is not a list of rules, but a path to intimacy. You do not give me truth to condemn me, but to set me free. You do not use truth to shame me, but to shape me. And when I fail, you do not remove the truth. You invite me deeper into it. So I rise this morning with a renewed desire to walk in truth, not to win arguments, but to win your smile, not to appear righteous, but to become holy, not to defend my own narrative, but to reflect your heart. Make me a vessel of truth in a world that is starving for it. Let my speech be seasoned with grace, my heart be anchored in the word, and my hands be faithful in the tasks you assign. As I walk into today's noise, let the clarity of your truth be louder than the doubts, stronger than the temptations, and deeper than my fears. You are the way, the truth, and the life. I belong not to the culture, not to my ego, not to convenience. I belong to you, and that truth sets everything else in its rightful place. Father, I come again to you, knowing that even in the quietest places of my life, you are still speaking, just as the last chapter closed with a whisper of trust in the dark. I step gently into this new morning with a desire not for clarity or immediate answers, but for a patience that can outlast the silence and an endurance that does not crumble under time. Father, you see the long road I travel. You know the weight of waiting, the ache of not knowing, and the temptation to run ahead of your plan. But you also know how often your greatest works are hidden in the places where nothing seems to move. So today, I want to learn what it means to remain. Teach me, Father, how to dwell in seasons where the fruit has not yet come, and the ground still looks barren. Help me not to resent the stillness, but to treasure it. So many moments in life feel like pauses, like divine delays. And I admit that sometimes I panic when I cannot see what is next. But what if this pause is not a punishment, but preparation? What if the stillness is the soil where endurance is grown? Help me lean into this season instead of rushing past it. Remind me that not everything of value can be seen, and not every good gift is wrapped in noise or movement. You have always been a God of timing, not urgency. When I look at your creation, I see patience everywhere. Trees do not bloom overnight. Rivers do not carve canyons in a day. Stars do not burn out of chaos, but from ordered silence. So, why should my own life be any different? Help me accept that slow is not bad, and quiet is not empty. If this season feels invisible, it is not unknown to you. You are still working, even if it is beneath the surface. Remind my heart that growth happens in roots before it ever shows in leaves. Give me the kind of strength that waits with hope, not despair. The kind of faith that does not need signs to remain faithful. Let me become steady, not by getting what I want quickly, but by being shaped in the tension of time. I want to grow into someone who carries peace not because life is easy, but because my roots are deep in you. I want to become someone who no longer measures the value of the day by how productive I was, but by how present I was with you. And if this is a day of silence, then let it be full of reverent listening. If this is a day of stillness, then let it be soaked in sacred waiting. I bring to you every situation in my life that feels unresolved, the relationship that has not healed, the prayer that has not been answered, the dream that still feels far away. And I surrender the timeline I have placed on all of them. I release my grip on the calendar and ask you to teach me how to walk by light that comes only one step at a time. I do not want to become so focused on arrival that I miss the quiet miracle of the in-between. You are not just God at the breakthrough. You are also God in the building, in the small, in the subtle, in the slow. Let my waiting be worship. Let my patience be praise. Let my delays be opportunities to deepen my trust. Let me find comfort in the fact that nothing is wasted with you. No season, no silence, no tear, no longing. All of it is seen, all of it is sacred, and all of it is shaping me into something I cannot yet see, but something you have always seen in me. I want to be more than someone who endures the wait. I want to be someone who grows in it, who listens better, who notices more, who loves deeper, because I have learned to live in places most people try to escape. Father, when impatience creeps in, when I feel restless in the stillness, help me remember that you are not just writing a story. You are also preparing the heart that will live it. Maybe this is the part where you are strengthening my inner life for the weight of what is coming. Maybe the delay is a gift I do not yet have the wisdom to recognize. So give me eyes that see beyond the now, ears that hear beyond the noise, and a heart that trusts beyond its own understanding. Make me okay with becoming slowly, because anything worth becoming is rarely rushed. There is a quiet beauty in endurance. Father, in waking up again and still choosing to hope, in breathing through days that feel uncertain and yet showing up fully, in loving others even when I am tired, in speaking gently even when I want to shout, in believing in the goodness of life, even when it is not being loud. I want that kind of strength, the kind that does not need to be seen or praised, the kind that is steady because it is built on trust. I want the inner resilience that refuses to quit simply because it has not yet arrived. And so today, as the sun rises slowly over another day that may or may not bring answers, I choose to be faithful in the unseen. I choose to keep sowing seeds even if I do not yet see fruit. Choose to believe that the story you are telling is not on pause, but in progress, that your silence is not absence, that your delay is not denial, that your pace is not a mistake. Let your spirit breathe patience into every restless part of me. Let your love be the gentle anchor that holds me when the winds of waiting blow hard. Let your presence remind me that even here, especially here, you are near. And maybe the point of this season is not to finish faster, but to learn to walk slower, to feel deeper, to see clearer. Maybe I am not being held back, but being held close. Maybe this is not punishment, but invitation to intimacy, to trust, to transformation. So I say yes. Yes to this moment. Yes to this slow work. Yes to becoming someone who does not just wait, but waits well. Father, as my heart turns once again to you in the stillness of this morning, I carry forward the quiet strength from yesterday's reflections. Your faithfulness has carried me through restless seasons. And now, as I learn to walk in the rhythms of your peace, I ask you to deepen this lesson within me. Father, the calm you offer is not born of perfect circumstances, but of perfect trust. And trust, I have learned, grows not in ease, but in surrender. So here I am again, surrendered and expectant. The world beyond these walls is restless, always pressing, always spinning with demands. It tells me that urgency is a virtue, that motion equals meaning, that to slow down is to fall behind. But you whisper otherwise. You tell me that stillness is not stagnation, but sacred, that the quieted soul is not empty, but receptive, that in waiting, I do not lose time, but gain perspective. And so, I ask you this morning, Father, to retrain my heart in the discipline of peace. Teach me that peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of perspective, that it does not erase pain, but steadies me within it. That peace is not fragile, but fierce in its confidence that you are near. The peace you give, Lord, is not borrowed from my environment, but rooted in eternity. So why do I still reach for counterfeit comforts? Why does my soul still chase temporary stillness in things that never satisfy? Father, uproot the idols I cling to in my moments of doubt. Replace my striving with stillness. Replace my panic with peace. I remember, Father, that even your Son, when the storm raged on the sea, slept in the boat, the winds howled, the water roared, yet he rested, because he knew who held the sea. knew who commands the storm, and that same authority you have given to your peace within me, a peace that can lie down inside chaos and not be moved, a peace that, even when the world is trembling, can remain still. Father, awaken that kind of peace in me. When I face conversations that stir anxiety, give me words that carry grace, not fear. When I meet decisions heavy with consequence, give me the calm of clarity, not confusion. When I encounter unexpected turns in my day, anchor me before I react. Make me slow to speak, quick to listen, and quiet enough inside to hear your voice above the noise. Father, may peace be my first response, not my last resort. This morning, I confess the times I have tried to create peace on my own. Times I have forced false harmony by avoiding truth. Times I have silenced discomfort instead of resolving it. Times I have pretended all was well when my soul was aching. You see it all, Lord. You see behind the smile, beneath the calm exterior, into the places still trembling, and you do not turn away. You do not shame me for my struggle. Instead, you invite me into a better way, a peace that does not deny reality, but dwells securely in the middle of it. Let this peace shape my presence. Let it walk with me into every space today, unnoticed by the world but undeniable in effect. When others are anxious, let them feel steadied in my nearness. When tempers rise, let my calm be contagious. When tension builds, let my silence speak of something deeper than avoidance. May the atmosphere I carry reflect the atmosphere of heaven, not because of who I am, but because of who resides in me. Father, help me also to protect the peace you plant, to guard my time, my thoughts, my boundaries, so that peace is not stolen by careless habits, to turn off the noise when it becomes louder than your truth, to pause before committing to what drains my soul, to walk away from what stirs envy, judgment, or hurry. Help me choose peace not as a reaction, but as a priority. Help me build a life where peace is not a visitor, but a resident. I know, Father, that this peace begins with you. It flows from your heart into mine. It cannot be manufactured, only received. So open my hands again today to receive it, to let go of what I cannot control, to release the outcomes I fear, to unclench my grip on perfection, and allow your peace to fill the spaces left behind. Father, show me that peace is not passive, it is a posture, a way of standing firm in truth, even when everything around me trembles. As I move into this day, let me not rush ahead of peace. Let me not trail behind it either. Teach me the pace of grace, the rhythm of restfulness. Let my body reflect it in unhurried breath. Let my speech reflect it in thoughtful response. Let my eyes reflect it in gentleness. Let my steps reflect it in purpose. May I become a living picture of what it means to dwell in peace, even when storms are not yet stilled. Father, I also bring before you those whose hearts know no peace, the ones awakened by fear, the ones surrounded by conflict, the ones haunted by regret or overwhelmed by grief. Extend to them the same peace you extend to me. Whisper your nearness to the war-torn soul. Wrap comfort around the restless mind. And if you would use me in any way to be a vessel of that peace, Make me willing. Make me ready. And if the peace you give looks different than I expect, if it arrives through surrender and not control, through waiting and not fixing, through trusting and not understanding, then reshape my expectations. Not your gift. Make me humble enough to accept the peace that surprises me, not the one I try to dictate, for your peace, Father, surpasses understanding, and that is what makes it holy. That is what makes it divine. So here I sit, Father, as the day stretches out before me, with a mind still racing and a heart learning to be still, with a soul that longs for quiet, not just around me, but within me. And I ask you again, with all sincerity, let me carry your peace today. Let it be more than a feeling. Let it be my compass, my anchor, my guard, and my gift. Father, as I come to you this morning, I feel the quiet nearness of your presence settling around me like a gentle mist. There is a stillness that lingers not because the world has changed, but because my soul has been slowly shaped by your hand. From the first words whispered in the earliest chapter of this journey until now, you have been guiding me, teaching me, refining me. And now, as I arrive at this final morning in our long walk of prayer, I do not feel an ending but a quiet opening, a deeper beginning, a quiet breath of continuity. You, Lord, have never been in a hurry. And because you are patient, I have learned to slow my steps. I have learned that intimacy with you is not a destination reached, but a rhythm embraced. These mornings have carved out space within me where once there was only hurry. These chapters have softened the edges of my striving and turned them into still waters. You have led me through valleys of surrender and peaks of revelation, through dry ground and quiet rain, through wrestling and resting, and you never once let go. I remember the mornings when my heart was heavy with shame, when I did not know how to bring my brokenness to you. And still, you welcomed me. I remember the mornings when my questions were louder than my faith, when I did not understand but dared to speak anyway. And still, you listened. I remember the mornings when gratitude poured out like a river because I saw your goodness in every breath. And still, you smiled. Through all of it, you remained, not only as God over me, but as Father beside me. Now, looking back, I see the shape of your faithfulness, tracing each chapter like golden thread, in the quiet confessions and the fierce declarations, in the whispered surrender and the bold requests, in the trembling and the trusting. Your voice echoed through every line, not always loudly, but always clearly, and I learned that even silence is not absence, that even the waiting is holy when you are the one I wait for. Today, I do not ask for final answers. I ask for continued closeness. I do not reach for conclusions. I reach for your hand. Because you are not a chapter in my life story, you are the author. And as long as you are still writing, I will keep turning the page, keep showing up, keep kneeling down, keep lifting my eyes to where my help comes from. I will keep choosing prayer not as a habit to complete, but as a posture to live in. Let everything I have learned here not become distant memory, but living seed. Let it take root in the quiet places of my life, where no one sees but you. Let it shape how I speak, how I pause, how I love, how I believe. Let it flow into the way I walk through crowded rooms and empty spaces, into how I respond when I am wronged, into how I serve when no one applauds, into how I wait when answers are slow, into how I worship when the feeling fades. And Lord, remind me that I am never walking this path alone. All around me are others carrying burdens and blessings. Others who need the same grace I have been given. Teach me not to keep this journey to myself. Let my story become an invitation. Let the way I pray become a light. Let the peace I carry stir up questions in others about where it comes from. Make my life, Father, a doorway, never a wall. To the one listening now, the one who has walked through every chapter with me, I want to say this. Thank you. Thank you for choosing this path with courage. Thank you for rising early or pausing late to make space for the sacred. You did not take a shortcut. You did not quit when it felt too slow or too deep, too quiet. You kept coming back, and that matters. That faithfulness is not small. It is the very soil where transformation grows. I hope these prayers have spoken into your life in a way that human words alone could not. I hope they have reminded you that you are not forgotten, not invisible, not unloved, that the God who formed galaxies also watches your rising, that He is near when you whisper and when you weep, that He delights not in your perfection, but in your presence. I hope you have tasted something real here, something you can carry into every ordinary day. And now, I invite you to share what this journey has meant to you. If there were moments that stirred you, words that healed you, truths that anchored you, I would be honored to know. Share your prayers below. Let your voice join this sacred echo. Let others hear that they are not alone, because we are all walking this road together, each of us carrying pieces of light, reflecting the same source. If these words have lifted you, let them lift others too. Share this prayer. Pass it forward to someone searching for rest, for strength, for God. Let this be more than a private experience. Let it become a movement of faith, chorus of morning voices rising with hope. And if you have not yet, subscribe to the channel so we can continue this rhythm together, not just once, but day by day, because prayer is not a moment, it is a life. And as we draw this chapter to its final sentence, may your heart remain open, soft, and expectant, not looking for closure, but for continuity, not waiting for perfection, but walking in presence. May the Spirit stir gently within you as you rise from these words and return to your world. And may you carry with you a quiet joy, a steady hope, a deeper trust. Like the hush of morning before the city wakes, like a cool breeze brushing past weary skin, like the first light of dawn warming the edge of a still river, quietly promising that the day is just beginning.